Recently, Joe Biden did an interview with 60 Minutes, which, if I'm honest, I didn't know was still a thing. Joe Biden talked about a number of topics in this interview. One of those topics was, of course, gun control. I'm going to break this down point for point so you can see the true agenda of gun control.
For example, we passed the most extensive gun legislation in 30 years.
I want you to imagine if Joe Biden said, "We passed the most extensive anti-free speech legislation in 30 years. Or we passed the most extensive unreasonable search and seizure legislation in 30 years. People would be running around screaming that the world was ending. That's essentially what he just said, though. Joe Biden just bragged about being the most anti-Second Amendment president in 30 years, if not our history. Someone please explain to me why the president of a country founded on the idea of freedom is bragging about restricting freedom. The Second Amendment isn't just a suggestion. They wrote it out specifically in our Constitution. Actually, they went further than that. They wrote the Constitution and then decided to add 10 more amendments to it just because they felt that these particular rights were so important, they needed to be spelled out specifically. And Joe, which way do I go, Biden, is literally bragging about infringing on the only amendment that says shall not be infringed. Joe Biden has been in politics literally his entire professional career. He is a political elitist in its purest form. Joe Biden doesn't give two shits about you other than how much he can control you. And the biggest obstacle in his way of doing that is the Second Amendment, because a government can't simply impose its will on a society of people who are armed.
Although I'm not going to rest till we get assault weapons banned, which I did once before when I was a senator.
Assault weapons banned.
Assault weapons banned.
What's crazy to me is how Joe Biden continues to get away with using the term assault weapon when we know that the term was popularized by Josh Sugarman, the communication director of an anti-Second Amendment group. He actually said that calling semi-auto rifles assault weapons will confuse the general public and make them think that they are machine guns, and thus make it easier to pass anti-Second Amendment laws. That's exactly what Joe Biden is doing here. But the real question is, why is Joe Biden so adamant about banning semi-automatic rifles when the FBI has already proven that more people are killed by hands and feet than they are by semi-automatic rifles? But not only just semi-automatic rifles, but rifles in general. Hell, almost 4 times the number of people are killed by knives. Why isn't Joe Biden saying he won't rest until he gets knives banned? If he cared about your safety and he truly believed the best way to keep you safe is to ban objects that are used to kill people, why isn't he trying to ban the thing that's used to kill 4 times the number of people? Because like I said, he doesn't care about you. He cares about his control over you. The American people with knives are not a threat to his control. The American people with rifles, however, is.
There's no rationale. Deer aren't running through the woods wearing Kevlar vests.
Joe Biden has used this deer wearing Kevlar example so many times, it's pretty pathetic at this point.
Deer wearing Kevlar vests. Deer you're hunting wear Kevlar vests. Deer wearing Kevlar vests.
This is such a dumb response that I really don't want to dignify it with my own response. But hell, people actually think this is a good argument to ban semi-automatic rifles. First things first, deers are not the only animal that are hunted. Second, the Second Amendment has nothing to do with hunting. It literally states the purpose in the first clause of the amendment: being necessary to the security of a free state, not being necessary to the ability to shoot a deer. And third, why would there be a need for a constitutional amendment to protect my right to hunt a deer? This is just dumb. But he literally says it every single time he talks about banning semi-automatic rifles. And to this day, no one checks him on how stupid it is.
Our kids should be learning how to read and write, not duck and cover. Think about that. And think of the mental impact on these kids going back to school. You saw it. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's not who we are. But we've got to stop it. We've got to stop it. And the NRA continuing to push the sale of assault and semi-automatic weapons is bizarre.
You mean duck and cover, like how the kids learned to duck and cover during the Cold War in the 50s?
When there's danger, this is the way he keeps from being hurt. Sometimes it even saves his life. That's why these children are practicing to duck and cover just as you do in your school. We all know the atomic bomb is very dangerous, Since it may be used against us, we must get ready for it, just as we are ready for many other dangers that are around us all the time.
Biden, there's nothing new under the sun. There have been school shootings since the 1700s. 8 kids were killed in 1764 during the Pontiac's rebelling school massacre. I'm not saying that's okay, but all of the pearl clutching you're doing means nothing, because instead of focusing on hardening our schools, you use school shootings as a leverage point to push gun control. You're more worried about using these tragedies to accomplish a political agenda than you are to actually find a solution that will actually keep kids safe. I promise you, if Biden had young children who were in school, they would be going to a school that was hardened to the max. But when it comes to your kids, we don't need to harden schools. We just need to ban a type of gun that is responsible for less than 1% of gun deaths in the country. That's what's bizarre. The NRA isn't making people buy AR-15s. People are buying them on their own accord because they want to protect themselves and their families. The same way you and your 24 hours a day, 7 days a week security detail also has AR-15s. Well, not even AR-15s, but actual machine guns to protect you and your family. There's nothing more bizarre to a people than the president telling us we shouldn't own a rifle that is protected under the Constitution, yet you're surrounded by them on a daily basis. What's bizarre is that you spend more time angry at a group designed to protect the constitutional right than you are the actual shooters. What's bizarre is that a sitting president is so clueless about the Constitution that you think the Second Amendment is about deers in Kevlar. President Biden, there is nothing bizarre about people wanting the best gun possible to protect their family. And if we're gonna be completely honest, the most bizarre thing we've seen in the last 2 years has been your presidency. Guns aren't political. That's why I need your help getting this message to spread on YouTube by clicking the thumbs up button, leaving a comment to let me know what you think of the video, then subscribing to the channel. But most importantly, click that bell symbol. For products featured in this video, click the links in the description.